So you can be comfortable. I should probably put on clothes. Okay. Put this here. Find some clothes. All right. This is Dragnot's not feeling too hot. So I just got back from class. Checking my phone because the internet kind of goes in and out in the student services building. Had to go get a student ID and finish up class. Well, it's a really short class of technical writing, and he doesn't like to run the class long at all. So, yes, knockers. I'm a big fan of knockers. Boobies, titties, big old bitties, tiggle bitties. Big old fan of them. Huge fan of titties. I'm definitely a titty man. Definitely a breast man. So, all right. So, I was checking my phone because I figured, well, maybe I got some text messages that didn't go through. Because I noticed I couldn't send any text messages to the wife because I was going to let her know, hey, I'm getting out of class pretty soon. It's just kind of FYI, just in case you need to go somewhere. Just one of us needs to be here to grab the child. And I looked at my phone and it said, G-Man posted a video. And I said, G-Man posted a video a little while ago. And I didn't, hold on, people message me right as I start this. So, what was I gonna say? Oh, so he had made a video about something. I think he was having, I guess, a debate. I don't know, against some dude, something Stonewall, Great Wall, something guy. I figured just by the name, something Millstone. Yeah, that's what it was. That it was some Black Hebrew Israelite guy who works at McDonald's and pretends he's an Egyptian god in his free time. Whatever, right? But then I saw the nipples thing, and I'm like, really? So, I guess he's kind of moved on from taxonomy to embryology now. So I'm like, oh, goody. Embryology, man, this is going to be fun. And there are certain things that you kind of just take for granted. You take for granted that people know how to balance a checkbook. You take for granted people know how to pay bills on time. You take for granted that people know that when you are an embryo, we have both traits for male and female. I thought most of everybody who was an adult knew that. If you go on G-Man's video, you can watch it now as you're watching me because it's only 10 seconds long. And so he's I guess making a riff on his previous statement about man nipples. And so he said, why do men have nipples? Could it be that we have a common designer? Well, here's, of course, it's not an intelligent design. Let's think about something for a second. We know already why men have nipples. This is not a controversial thing. There's no debate about this. There's no ongoing controversy, whatever, about this. We know why. It's really, really simple, and it makes sense from any worldview, theological or not, why men have these traits. If we want to now say that man nipples are a part of intelligent design, what purpose do they serve on a man? Because we know on females, typically, they're nice to look at. But as far as us being mammals, here we go again with taxonomy. Here it comes. It's coming right back. For mammals, they serve a purpose. They are the ports to which mammary glands connect to, and which the milk gets excreted. When the female of whatever the mammal is has its young, it feeds its young from the mammary glands through the nipples. Point blank. Period. Last time I checked, men can't do that. I know my son attempted to breastfeed for me because he couldn't tell the damn difference, and he was just hungry. And there's a picture of on Facebook of he's trying to do that. But no matter how much I might try and might have loved that father to son connection, it's not gonna work. I don't lactate. Men don't lactate. I'm not even sure if men have mammary glands. I'm not like somebody feel free to fact check me. I don't even think we have those. But we got nipples. Some people like to touch them because they make them feel good. Hey, fuck it, right? Right not? So, what? Why would it? I'm trying to put myself in the position of somebody who supports, this idea that an intelligent being now, one that can supposedly create men from dirt, had the foresight to go, I want to create something in my image, and I want it to be sexually dimorphic. I want the men to have certain traits, and I want the women to have certain traits, because they got special things that they do with these traits, these phenotypical traits. Men have a penis to jab it inside of a woman's sword holder, and that's what the vagina actually means. It means sword holder. If you didn't know that, so that's why we have those parts. All right, cool. Women have breastises because they are mammals and because they're going to feed their young. Awesome. Gotcha. Tracking. Men have nipples because yeah. Really? Like I just, okay, so men do have the glands. Okay, so yeah, because I didn't even know if we even had them. Okay, thank you for that, Nethar. Um, we don't lactate. If we do lactate, there's a problem because I know that there's a condition where men will lactate, but we can't produce milk. I know there's a type of hormonal change that needs to happen in order to elicit lactation, and I don't think that whole thing in men is kind of supposed to happen. But on rare occasions, yes, we will, because we were both male and female at some point in time until we differentiated. So I'm not sure how this is I think it's a terrible argument for intelligent design, just because it shows that either the designer was incompetent, or the statement itself is false. Like there is no if, ands, or buts, because if you're saying that, and I'm attacking the position here, so there's no misunderstanding, uh, with what I'm addressing. The statement is that men have nipples because of an intelligent designer was also a common designer. It also designed both male and females. Well, if this being is intelligent and is applying their intelligence to put forth traits for a particular organism, then that trait must serve a particular function. So I'm missing the purpose of what man nipples serve in this context, because they can't serve the same purpose as women are the ones that kind of have the metabolic pathways needed to truly breastfeed and nourish young. Last time I checked. Last time I checked. Because I can tell you right now, sure, you know what? Um, uh, who was it? Apple just came out with a new iPhone, and man, they got some cool features on that bitch. Man, you can take your glasses off, and you can do the eye recognition thing, and you can send all you can do the if you know who Concordance is, Concordance he always uses a animated dinosaur. You can send messages like that to people now. Man, I've seen those features before on a phone. It's almost as if there's another company that has done this. Huh. Hmm. But they don't have a common designer. They have two separate designers. One took the traits from the other company and then applied it to their product. So, I mean, if this is an argument for intelligent design, then there may be an uncommon designer that just so happened to go, you know what? I like this idea. I'm going to steal it. I don't know. Could be the engineers from alien movies. There's so many ways you can take that. What's Ozzy saying? G-Man no doubt means to point out that because men don't lactate, they are not adaptive in men, but a designer might create them for a non-adaptive purpose. Well, if that's his point, Ozzy, he may have needed more than 10 minutes to try and explain that. I'm trying to be as charitable as I can with this, but to me, I just knowing the biology makes it hurt my head in a special way. So I think I kind of ran out of charity just by explaining his position, um, almost word for word. It's almost like G-Man doesn't know what he's talking about. You said it, not me. I don't know. If he wants to expound upon this point, I want to hear this argument. I am genuinely curious because if there is it's a non-adaptive trait and the designer just decided to put nipples on men because, well, why not? Let's put a let's put a sticky thing here and you know put it inside the females. Then I want that explained to me. Why is that intelligent? That makes, for me, I'm not too sure, because from an evolutionary standpoint, sure, why not? Like, it's, you know, sexual dimorphism arose from you know what? I think that's actually something interesting now that I think about it. I think Sam and I were talking about no, it might not, it might have been Sam and myself, it might have been someone else, where we were discussing the rise of sexual dimorphism in chordates. Who was I having that conversation with? I can't. It might have been rational mind, because that's evolutionary biology is his field. Hmm. That's actually a really good topic. But I would imagine from the rise of sexual dimorphism, we get stuff like this. We get leftovers, where we know what we're not that different, male and females. This. Did he posit either echolocative abilities from nipples or some sort of inductive magnetic field? He did. I don't know if he did. I don't know if he said inductive magnetic field, but he did. He postulated. I'll say that he postulated some type of navigational trait. He did say that, and I still have to hang out where. But it may have just been speculation. I think that's hilarious, but that was a good one. Yes, EO. I do remember that. G needs to have it explained that evolution can explain non-adaptive unselected traits. Oh, that's actually a good point, Ozzy. I I think that people have, and I want to say Jade may have tried to, but he is having such a hard time with how just the general heritability of traits. He has a hard time understanding that. So then going on to explain non-adaptive traits is like pulling teeth. It's really difficult because in honesty, he's really having an incredible time with the heritability of some very basic trait. I mean, we can just talk about basic Mendelian genetics, and that's something that he's not really understanding. Even if you were to use like the pea pods, for example, and use a really simple Punnett square, like I say, it is a really simple example because there's no blending of the traits involved with that until you get to like non-Mendelian genetics, where you start talking about rose color. But you have to first understand the basics, and I want to give him credit where it's due, but I don't think that he's really understood that aspect. So in order for him to grasp that, he has to first, and I think this is a bigger problem with what G-Man is trying to do. Netflix said, Dragnot, I have I read some papers about the evolution of XY system and uterine mammals. Perhaps the same system got inherited by marsupials, but not monotremes. I got to fact check that. That's something. Yeah, let me know, Nestle, when you find out about that, because I remember having this conversation a long time ago, and I can't remember where it went. But part of the problem with what G-Man does is that he's trying to approach biology from a top-down look, and you can't do that in biology because it's the curriculum is made in such a way that as you matriculate through your formal education, you build upon that knowledge. I can't go into cell biology right now, and that's my field. That's where I want to be in, but I can't because I don't have the chemistry background, and I need the chemistry background to understand the metabolic stuff. And in order to understand the chemistry, you need the math. Like you have to build upon a sturdy foundation of education in order to really understand this. I didn't just jump into my principles of biology, 2 class and understand cladistics. I had to first start at general bio stuff and then down some very, very basic stuff, even going back all to, was it Carl Linnaeus, I think his name is? I just call him Linnaeus. I can't remember his first name. And, but yeah, he's trying to he's trying to pull a true empiricism where you just Google a topic and don't really look at the words that are in the definition, and he doesn't understand the concepts. And he's too caught up on what the definitions may or may not be that he's completely missing the concepts. And that's what's important. Not memorizing facts and figures, not being able to recite the periodic table, not being able to tell you how many species are in a particular genus of whatever. Understanding the concepts of what is being discussed, because that is where the errors come up when people have these gross conceptual errors. And correcting gross conceptual errors with folks from the CCP is it's entertaining, but it's frustrating. Yes, Sam. Yes, it is. Problem with G-Man is that he doesn't know that he doesn't know shit. That's an MP. You can't tell him he doesn't know, and that is the thing. You cannot tell him he doesn't understand this. And I'm like, well, you don't have to believe me. I had the privilege to tutor other people because someone felt confident. Excuse me, several people felt confident in my ability to teach and to instruct others, my peer group. So I would say just based on their recommendation alone that I feel qualified enough to explain these very basic things. But here on the internet is a weird realm where something like that really isn't good enough, and your worldview, whatever this nebulous concept is now, that is the litmus test that needs to be passed in order to determine who can actually correct someone. And I see that a little bit too often, and it's disconcerting too, because here's what genuinely annoys me about this. I get a notification like this and I have a choice. I can make fun of him and call him stupid, or anybody else, Antonio, Arcane, Veckle, True, whoever. Or I can go, well, let's talk about this topic. Let's talk about it a little bit. When I do sit down and discuss some of this stuff, that gets missed for some strange reason, and then the conceptual errors continue. But when I put my foot inside of ass and I make fun of people, that seems to stick. So to me, that tells me that what's more effective is the latter, not the former. So why would I then keep trying to do what doesn't work? Like that seems strange. What's the definition of insanity? So if someone is genuinely trying to learn, then it might help to actually listen to people who know about this topic. That's just me. So I don't know. No, whatever he is saying, just no. Okay, I don't know what that's a response to. True, whatever. But but yeah, like it's strange because I kept hearing that, and I was like, you know what? I could have swore, I could have swore that I spent my vacation trying to teach somebody some of this stuff. Could have swore. Could have swore I did that. Could have swore I said, let me set aside my pettiness for a little bit. Let me be a bigger person. Let me try and get outside of myself and go, you know what? It may be fun to, you know, practice some of the pedagogical arts. Let me do that for a little bit. And it was fun because I learned learning more than I enjoy helping others learn, but that's just me. I said, you know what? It does. If I can help someone else learn, then that means that I understand something. So it is affirmation in a way. But what I do notice is that people who genuinely want to learn are receptive. And this goes for anybody. You have to be receptive in order to learn stuff. How is a person, and it's anybody, if you are not receptive to information, why do you want to learn? It makes no sense. I can't learn the finer points of Fodor's argument if I'm too busy arguing with people who know more than me about the argument. Does that make sense? I can't learn more about some of these high-speed, innovative technologies if I'm arguing with Sam about, why Hi-C and ChIP-seq even exist in the first place. Does that make sense? How am I supposed to learn why poutine is delicious if I'm telling you all Canadians, food, all Canadian cuisine is shit? How am I learning with that? How is this a part of a learning process? If I'm busy arguing with people who have the information, how can I learn? Somebody explain that to me. Please make a video. Explain to me how you argue with people who know more than you about the damn topic. But you want to learn. What? Like, I don't, yeah. Oh, well, Happy Jesus, what'd you say? There's a difference between learning and debating. You cannot do both simultaneously. And you know what? I said this quote, where I quoted a gentleman, one of my personal heroes, and I'm being a little facetious, but it's a good quote. John Henrik Clark. You can go look up this quote. I debate my equals. All others I teach. That's a good ass quote. Because it's true. It's absolutely fucking true. People who like an actual debate, they have damn near the same knowledge, damn near the same education. They both came to different thank you, Sarah. They both came to different positions, but they both have the same knowledge. That one's not teaching the other. They just have different perspectives, which neither one may be wrong. But they both may be wrong. Hell, who knows? But there's not this watershed moment where one just and just learns from the other. There is, I see your position. That's how you got to that. That's interesting. I had considered that, but I didn't go down that route because X, Y, and Z. That's the difference. Right then and there. Dragnet was right. Marsupials and placentals have an XY system, but there are differences, of course. Monotremes have a weird 5Y, 5X system, but I'm not familiar with how it works. Well, monotremes are weird, so that doesn't surprise me in the least. Two papers come to mind. Sex determination of birds do it with a Z gene, and evolution of vertebrate sex chromosomes and dosage compensation. I haven't heard that word in a while, that term in a while. In both cases, in case figure 1 sums up neatly. That is interesting, sir. That is interesting. Z gene. But that's to get back to my point, that's what I'm most curious about. And there is there's some old adage about when you want to learn, you can't approach the instructor or whoever you're learning from with your cup full. Your cup cannot be full because you can't put anything else in there. So you're gonna have to empty that cup before you learn more. I mean, it's a I guess the illustration helps people understand that you have to take a step back and go, maybe I don't understand stuff as well as I think, and that I might need to sit down for a second and truly go, you know what? Can I explain this to people I know understand the topic? I know the topic. If you can't explain it to people who know the topic and they can't give you their seal of approval, chances are you might not know it as well as you think. It doesn't matter if they like you or not. They can go, okay, well, I don't think you understand it very well. Or you're kind of close, kind of not really, you need to do a little bit more studying, and give you some feedback. Because I'm very receptive. I like to think so. I'm fairly receptive, let me correct myself, to that type of criticism, even if it's in the field of biology. If it's in the field of philosophy, I'm just like, yep, whatever, okay, cool. I'm not going to fight anybody on that. If it's what's Ocean's area? Ocean knows a lot about history, and so does Druss. Not my strongest subject. I'm just gonna go, oh, okay, cool. I'm not gonna sit there. I'm not gonna debate Druss. You'll never see me debate Druss on history. Ain't gonna happen. Not gonna happen. You ain't gonna find it. I dare you. Go find it right now. You're not gonna see me argue with Ocean of history, because I know my strengths, and I'm going to play to my strengths, or what I believe to be my strength. I'm not going to sit there and I'm not going to pick every hill to die on. There'll be a few. You'll find them, but it ain't that. Yeah, ain't nobody got time for that. Exactly. That's something my mother taught me, is like, don't, pick your battles. And I did not understand what that meant until I got older. Philosophy is a waste of time and is responsible for the slow reception of quantum mechanics. Okay, Sarah, you're making Ozzy's eyes start to twitch. But I was one of those people who was like, who needs philosophy? People sitting around thinking with their thumb up their asses. Philosophy it can be used as a bludgeon, but it's not supposed to be used as a bludgeon. It's not, for dick measuring. Philosophy is to make you better at thinking. It's not to tell you what to think. It's to teach you how. Because if you're not thinking straight, how are you making conclusions that are both sound and valid? Because there's a difference. I do remember that. There's a difference between soundness and something that's valid. But yeah, so that's my little piece. You can't walk around with that cup full and then be upset when you don't learn shit. How can you learn shit when you know everything? That's one of my famous people who know me in real life. And if I think like one of my friends or one of my family members is stubborn, I'll say that. Not I probably said it to my own son. Well, no, I haven't said it to my son, but I'll say, "Hi, why do you need me to tell you? You know every goddamn thing." I will say that, because I hate people who are they call it ask holes, because they'll ask you everything, but they don't want to take your advice. It's like, well, why did you ask me? Well, in the same respect to this topic, if you want to be taught, if you want to learn and not just be made fun of, then you might want to actually take aboard some information. That's just how it is. Don't matter if like I'm not a big fan of Seamus, but if he has a point, he has a point. I think he needs to go get fucked, but you know what? He can still make points. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't. Joining now, stay up in biology now. Awesome. If I have a piece of advice, take your fucking time. Ain't a goddamn rush, because there's a lot of shit. It is a lot of shit. Take your motherfucking time. There's like what is that? SciShow is one YouTube channel, but Crash Course Biology. Crash Course Biology is good. It gives you, and I like that they also incorporate how to do some word problems, because you'll definitely need that, because when you study chemistry, it's nothing but word problems. All the whole course is just word problems. But you'll definitely need that type of skill. So it's a lot of stuff to go through, and I have to brush up on stuff too because um, you can't memorize everything. You just that's why you have specializations. That's why I'm not a huge fan of evolution. I think evolutionary biology is interesting, but I wouldn't say that it's up there with things that I'm interested in. But it is something that will take you a little while because conceptually we can't think in terms of like thousands of years. Like we can say, yeah, such and such happened 5,000 years ago. Well, we don't really have a good reference point in our lives to really understand what 1,000 years looks like. You can look at something several thousand years old, but it looks like something that's maybe 50 years old. Like you could you really tell the difference unless you had a trained eye and you were an archaeologist, like this is your shit, and they could do the shit where they tested by licking or some stupid shit like that, but whatever, right? So but yeah, so I completely understand people having issues with conceptualizing things because it's somewhat counterintuitive, somewhat. But just saying, well, this sounds stupid because it sounds stupid is not an argument. This sounds stupid because people use tricky language. No, it is just something to consider. There's a teaching moment. Let me sit up straight for this. It's a teaching moment. So if it seems like people are using tricky language, it might be that you don't understand the language in the first place. Could it be? Could it be that words have different meanings, and when you get inside certain fields, those meanings might change? They might have an esoteric meaning within the field that takes a little bit of understanding, just a bit. So it could be that. That's kind of what I've encountered. I've had to change how I thought about stuff when I took physics. You will have to. You will have to change how you view our macro universe when you take a course in physics. You can't pass it without changing your you almost got me saying a stupid ass word, but changing how you view things. You have to. Dragnut, you realize that you can study multiple fields if you want an understanding of everything, right? I know there isn't enough time, but what if you had the time to do so? Well, sure, you can study multiple fields, but the more in depth that you go inside these fields, the harder it will become to truly memorize everything. Like it is, you can try by all means if you have an infinite amount of time, but you can only recall so much in a conversation. You can only recall, certain bits and pieces of stuff just based on how our minds work. Like, that's why most of us, when we get through chemistry, it's like, all right, that's enough. I got what I need for my field, but not everyone's going to know how to, what causes an entombment reaction or whatever. Just little stuff like that that's not really pertinent to the main stuff that you're doing isn't really going to stick. But yeah, if you can't want to gain information and then think that people with the information are just trying to trick you, you have to somehow go, well, you know what? Maybe I don't understand. That's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with going, you know what? I really don't understand this, and I would like it explained in a way that makes it more understandable. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong. At Midnight says it's a limit on the brain. That's kind of why when someone's telling us a story, we will remember the first and last thing that happened in the story, and not what's in the middle. That's just a quirk of our brain for some reason. I love to get access to an intro level academic field, but you really can't get in depth in more than 2 or 3 fields. Yeah, that's unfortunately limitation. There's a few people who are just modern day Renaissance men where they can do it all, but they're few and far between. Very few and far between. That's me personally. If we could change the brain so that we could retain information, possibly, cool. I mean, with the advent of technology, sure, we might be able to, but I mean that presents a really interesting scenario. I think there was some sci-fi series that did that where people, I can't remember the name, but it was a, what was that TV, Black Mirror or something like that. It was an older version of that, kind of like not Twilight Zone, but it explored certain concepts um, in a sci-fi universe. And one of the things was people gained their knowledge by plugging themselves into a super version of the internet, and so they would just download. Yeah, it might have been Friends. I can't remember, but I remember all the kids in the class they had ports in the back of their head, like in the Matrix, and then they would plug themselves into some type of supercomputer that was connected to the super internet or whatever, and they would just download the information. But there's a kid that was in the class that was an outcast, and he still read books, and they couldn't figure out, why he preferred books when the information that they got from their source could, instantly update like that. And it was one of those, things where, I guess the gist of that particular episode was, books will never be outdated, no matter how much technology we get. So, whatever. Do you think biological immortality is right around the corner based on current research? No. We have a good grasp on human senescence, even though True may think that he has, I guess, enough education to really understand these topics. No. Like, I think the maximum was 140 years. But with certain like 3D printed technologies, we could extend it. But being effectively immortal, I don't think so. No. Because you have to think that at some point, the surgeries needed to replace the organ systems would be too much for your body to handle, and that there's only so much your body can compensate from invasive surgeries, especially ones around major arteries. That's something that people tend not to take into account, because it is a traumatic experience for your body to have invasive surgery, because it's trying to repair itself, and we're doing shit to keep it open. So, hey. Remember, guys, drag doesn't understand gerontology. Okay. What do you want me to say? That's not my field. So we got a super chat from MP. What surprises me is that True Talk is a moderator on Dragnot's channel. Well, I did that to prove a point. You notice he is a moderator and he can speak freely on my channel, but how many people in the chat can speak on his? How many people can even speak in the live chat, much less go in the hangout and actually like express themselves? So yeah, just how many people are actually banned? So when it comes to people who actually have an education in some of these fields, who allow people to speak, and who don't mind dissent, I think I'm 3 for 3 on that one. Just saying. So if your only criticism is that I don't know a field that you can barely pronounce, okay, I will fully accept that criticism. This is my care face. Like I'm going into cell biology, bro. I'm not going into gerontology, which cell biology is very relevant to gerontology, but I honestly don't give two fucks about it. So, like, are you going to tell me my breath smells like shit? Like, I mean, that would be a more effective insult. I don't know if you've seen that, but are you open to be proven wrong about immortality? I'm open to be proven wrong about anything. I just want to see the evidence. That's all I care about. I don't, I blocked you too, little man. Don't be too beat up about it. It's okay, Drag. TE doesn't really understand English. TE knows about tamales from a gerontological perspective. I'm genuinely surprised he knows how to spell that word. Genuinely surprised. Um, like if, but here's my thing. Here I am. Midnight. If that's your dream, man, to make humans effectively immortal, go for it, man. Go for the gold. If you think that that's something that you can contribute to that field, do you? I fully support it. Stop running up the score, Drag. You already RFT shut out. I mean, if I mean I when I offer my criticisms towards him, I'm not trying to make it personal. It's just that look, if you're going to talk shit about certain stuff, I'm going to call you out. Like that's how it is. Like I'm criticizing G-Man's perspective, man, and I'm addressing something that I've heard him say a few times, and I really kick myself because I keep missing opportunities to address it, because I think he keeps speaking about intellectual dishonesty and how people are being dishonest, and it's like no one's being dishonest with him. And UPS next Monday. I will. Thank you for reminding me, by the way. No one's being dishonest with him. It's the only issue is that he doesn't understand how stuff works. And if he's like, you know what, folks were using this term, I thought it was this, and then come to find out later, people actually meant this. They should have clarified what they meant a bit better, so there's no mix up. I got that. Like that's people have crosstalk all the time. It happens if you ever been in a hangout with Hogtie, for instance. Sometimes when there's crosstalk, he will openly say, well, I think we might be talking past one another. He's one of the few people who will acknowledge that, and it doesn't happen a lot in conversation, especially on here. Got you. Tracking. I got you. But you then can't ascribe this dishonesty to people because you got confused. Like most of us can kind of parse out what folks mean. If we don't know, we can go home. Here's how I understand this. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't hear folks say that often. When I say folks, you know who I mean. I don't hear folks, well, correct me if I'm wrong. Are we talking about the same thing? I hear people trying to offer challenges while not knowing about the fucking topic, which is crazy. If you don't know about the topic, and when I say no, when I say no, I mean you can teach it to somebody else. So that's it. I mean, teach it and teach it effectively. Like you could walk into a classroom and talk about it, and folks aren't going to go, huh? That's what I'm talking about. Right now I may be insane. I'm gonna agree with you right there. But I want to learn about various fields. Am I insane for my desire to learn everything? I would say the desire is in the right place, but you should ground yourself with one or two specified fields and stick there. Hopefully there are two fields that kind of intersect with one another, like math and physics. Like like Sam's field, for instance. Sam's field's a perfect example. Computer science and biology. Find fields that intersect with kind of what you want to do, and then go forward. So that's just so everything kind of coalesces together. But that's just my personal opinion. All fields intersect. Yes, and you can of course boil everything down to basic physics, and then you can boil everything down to mathematics. I understand that, but from a practical point of view, you can't have a mastery in physics, chemistry, mathematics, biology, art. Like no one is a master of all. That's something that really doesn't exist. So that's basically what I'm trying to get across. If you feel that you can do that, I would say give it your all, but it's simply not that possible, because there's simply a limit as to how much we can learn and be effective in. And at this point in time, the fields have become so specialized that a modern day Renaissance man would be damn near unheard of, just because of how specialized these fields are. Just look within the field of biology. How many specialized fields are within the realm of biology alone, excluding all interdisciplinary fields that intersect with it? I mean, that's just that alone There's a reason why people go to graduate school and they focus in on, one or two specific areas. So I mean that's done because it's like you can't be a biostatistician and then you're also making your own concertos and shit, and then you're also teaching uh, linear algebra classes and calculus 3 on the weekends and shit. Like that's something that's damn near unheard of. So limits are meant to be broken, but those limits exist because of our natural limitations, not because people are just lazy and just don't feel like it. But man, if you think that you can tackle the world, go for it. I'm not going to step on your dream. I'm just going to tell you what's realistic. Um, Mr. Intelligent Design has mastered all of those. Didn't he tell you? Oh, yeah, he did. That's right. Thank you for reminding me. He did. He mastered that. And he made his own field. Did you guys know that? This man made his own field. Telemarketing. Go away. I don't want you to fucking, you know. Studying a subject in depth, acquiring an advanced knowledge education area teaches one disciplinary rigor and respect for other disciplines. It does. And Ozzy's completely right. And it really does. Because I didn't have respect for a lot of other fields until I saw the effort that people put into it. Like I can tell you that most of my family can play an instrument. Like people all anybody can play an instrument. I don't like if I probably put my mind to it, I might be able to. But my like many, and I mean almost every family member I know has a natural inclination toward being able to play an instrument and read sheet music. Can't do it. Cannot do it. So that's my limitation. But many of them, oddly enough, they can't learn a second language, but I can pick up languages fairly easily. So, I mean, we all have our strengths and weaknesses. And so I understand where my strengths and weaknesses lie within. And I am content with acknowledging my limitations and my weaknesses. And you learn that through only failure. That's why it doesn't really bother me when you got guys like True who will say, well, you don't know this and you don't know that. Well, you're absolutely right. Like I don't need to be a master of everything at all. At no time do I need to be. I used to speak conversational Spanish actually back when I worked for Home Depot, and no, it wasn't because this is a Home Depot in Louisiana, and I spoke conversational Spanish because we had Spanish customers and Spanish speaking customers, and so a few of my coworkers and I would speak Spanish with one another, but no one else wanted to learn Spanish, and I was like, well, sure, why not? There was a time where I was learning Japanese. My wife, she used to speak a bit of Hangul. That's a Korean language. For those of you who don't know that, Thick Shade speaks Hangul. If you need a reference, I used to know American Sign Language when I was younger. Fun fact: I had a friend who could not speak. He was mute, and I communicated with him using American Sign Language. So that's something that I can pick up fairly easily. And it is very interesting. If like people who are more inclined to pick up languages, that seems to be, and this I've heard this, that if you can if it's easy for you to pick up a language, it's supposed to be a mark of intelligence or something like that. And I think that's just kind of like an old wives' tale. Like for me, how I learn languages, it's the same way that I learn how I expand my vocabulary. I have a really basal grasp of English, like basic English, and then if I want to learn what a new word is, I make a reference point using my minimal lexicon. So we'll have a word like succinct, and so if I am trying to find the Spanish equivalent, in my head I categorize the Spanish equivalent as a synonym to the English one. so that I can speak using either one because I know what I want to say, but I recall the word in Spanish by using it as a synonym for the English word. If that makes sense. I don't have a separate lexicon in my head for Spanish. I just make everything a synonym of what I have. And as far as the grammar, uh, so I think what it was something. Well, in Spanish, okay. Well, hold on. In English, we do adjective noun. Well, in Spanish, you do noun adjective. So the grammatical rules it's a bit different. So you have to, I can't remember how I used to remember that particular rule, but it's very similar in Japanese as far as where you put the subject at, because you'll hear if you're a big anime fan and you watch anime, and you'll see the translations and you'll see someone's name at the end of whatever they're saying. Well, you'll hear their name at the beginning of when they speak, just because of grammatical rules. So yeah. Right now, one of issues not having money. Well, that's a lot of people's issues, man. I have the time to learn, just not the money. You can learn. There's a lot of stuff on Coursera for free, and we have a lot of people in this community. I've learned from Jade. I've learned from Fiona. I've learned from Sam. I've learned from hell, a lot of people. There was a guy here. I've learned from Ozzy. Everyone learns from Ozzy. Everyone drinks the Kool-Aid. I learned from Floyd. I'm trying to think of there's somebody he doesn't come around anymore, but I learned a lot from him. Damn, it makes me mad. I can't remember his name now. I speak Spanish as well, but that doesn't count because I come from Spanish speaking home. Yeah, true. I think we know that English is not your primary language. I think that's kind of obvious. Uh, beautiful girl with big zeppelins, something like that. Big zeppelins. Yeah, we'll say that. Big cannons. Learn a lot from EO. EO knows a lot. EO knows a lot. He's working on his philosophy. It's true, it was a joke. Relax. Jeez, as much as we fuck with you about your English, I think we know that you are ESL. Let's see. Don't forget the cats and dog poison ivy mushroom. Oh god, that Jade. I listened to that video when I was on my way to my son's school, because my wife had told me about it, and I was like, well, let me listen to it. And I'm just like, yeah, okay, all right, G-man. So yeah, when I meant I needed money, god damn it, it's going. When I meant need to give my mom rent. So yeah, no, that's there's a lot of people. There's a lot of people who are working, and they're focused more on just surviving than learning, and they kind of get lost. They get, well, they themselves get lost, but in the conversations about what's good for society, there are a lot of people who are more than capable, and they end up just kind of working dead end jobs just to make ends meet, and so they get trapped in poverty. And that's why that there's like there was some study about if you're born into a particular you know like, let's say lower middle class family, or just people below the poverty line, you're probably not going to dig yourself out of there. There's not this pull yourself up by your bootstraps and then all of a sudden you'll be a multimillionaire by next week. That shit doesn't actually happen. So yeah, no, and trust me, as somebody who's been there and done that, trust me, I understand. And my life didn't change until I joined the military. That was a turning point. But everybody can't do that. Everybody's not gonna be able to join the military. So what are people to do? Yeah, you need to do more those rapid fire hangouts like this. Yeah, when I have a little bit of time, I plan on doing it. Yeah, oh man, you're disabled, so I mean that makes it even more tough, because if you want to go into a field, like let's say you got algebra like that, you can do word problems like that, you can learn calculus on your own. That's the prerequisite to going into some of these high demand STEM fields. But you can't just go to school online. You have to go to the labs. So how does someone who has limited mobility, someone who is disabled, supposed to get ahead in life and excel and use their talents? I can tell you from personal experience, not too many biology classes and labs are taught in the afternoon or on the weekends. Don't happen. Does not happen at all. So if you want to be a physicist, You got the skills, just not the formal education. Then what are you supposed to do? And it is shitty. It is real shitty. Le med student, your German is probably still better than my French. Your grammar makes my toes curl. Is Le med student's German that bad? Oh man. The government is funded by us. You see, take as much money from the government as you can, just by picking everyone else's pocket. No virtue at all. Yeah, man, it is. I have my own political affiliations and my own issues with how money is spent. And trust me, if I became president, education would be a big focus. There's none of this taking money from schools or from states, and I would punish states if they were not investing in their educational infrastructure, because that's an infrastructure. If your education ain't there, you're fucked. You're absolutely fucked. See, legally blind. There are ways around that, man. There's a girl that's walking around my campus right now, and she has a tall Amazon girl holding her hand, and she has a stick, and she's going to class like everyone else. So I mean, don't let that hinder you, man. They got people with dogs going up and down those. You better get ready, Drag. Get ready for what, man? I'm here chilling. I need to go work on a group project that my damn teammates ain't been working on, but I need to do some more practice some word problems for my Pearson lab for my chemistry 2 class. I need to do that. But I'm just chilling right now. I'm just doing this. That's what I need to do for your slaughter. Okay. By the way, yes, G-Man has a spanner too. I gave him a spanner so he could post links and shit. So I would know that that's the real G-Man. Drag now. Also, this is why I want to study and teach others online. That's an admirable cause. But Midnight, you're gonna have to work double as hard as everyone else, man. But don't let a disability hinder you. And I wanted to do a video on depression and disability and how to overcome that kind of stuff, and not the sappy just believe in yourself bullshit. It'd be more of a video of here's where I was in life, here's been my low points, and here's how I got to where I am now, where I had my federal government instructor invite me to his office and thank me for, making his class interesting. And that's kind of become a normal thing for me, because I have no problem challenging people in classrooms and making classrooms more interesting. I have testaments from instructors, even on my Facebook, who will tell you that I make their class more interesting. So, but I wasn't always like that. I was one of those guys who was in the back with my head down, fucking sleep. I was a terrible student in high school. I didn't start really excelling in school until after I climbed a mountain. I had to literally climb a mountain in order for me to realize what I could personally do. And it sounds like one of those really shitty like PSA commercials about stupid shit, but people don't realize what climbing a mountain actually entails. They think that it's just you need to be physically fit, you need to be like a CrossFitter or something, to climb a mountain. But climbing a mountain is physically strenuous, but not as much as people think. It's really not. You'll be a little sore afterwards, but it's a mental game of pushing yourself further, because you're up high and you could fall and die. Which there was one point where I was like, I'm going to fall off this fucking mountain and die. But I had to join the rest of my unit and go, well, everyone else has completed this task. I need to also complete it. And I was literally one of the last guys, who finished climbing that mountain. But I can tell you from personal experience that I have climbed Mount Teaford. If you look up Teaford Mountain in California, I climbed that mountain, and that's a huge fucking mountain. That mountain's not small by any means. It took me almost 3.5 hours to climb it. And I got a nice picture. I got to find that picture, but I think I put it on Facebook years ago when I did it. But after that, I said, if I can climb a mountain, I can learn math. I can learn calculus. Like I climbed a mountain. This is just a subject in school. Why is climbing a mountain? Why can I climb a mountain, but this subject in a classroom, intimidates me? That doesn't make sense. So from that, I've garnered so much confidence in myself that I realize that I'm actually really good at math, and I like working word problems. I enjoy it. There is a young friend that I have who's in a nursing program in Louisiana, and her instructor is not that great. So she knew I used to be a paraprofessional in the Army as far as my role as a combat medic, and that I had I kind of took a pharmacology class. I say kind of because I don't remember if I even passed it or what happened to it. I'm pretty sure I did, but I looked at her word problems. I said, I've not done this in forever. You're not giving me much to work with, but I sat down and it took me all 5 minutes to find the answer for it. And then she gave me another one. I looked at it. Took me even less time to find that one. I said, you got to give me some more challenging ones because those are too easy. Just because I sat and I practiced. I sat and I practiced it because I hated word problems. Despised word problems growing up. But now I can do them like that because I've practiced so much. And even after our trip to New York, a lot of people don't know that I took a week off of school to do that trip. I was still in school. I was still in physics. I was in physics 2 and genetics, by the way. And so I had to go and make up stuff. So I sat in my physics class for 5 hours. 5 hours, and I worked problems. And I went over the concepts that I had missed that entire week. And I then, at the end of my 5-hour study session, then took the test that I had missed that Friday. And I passed it. But it took me 5 hours to make up all that stuff. And so I put in headphones and I started listening to Tupac. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this. I already said it in my mind that I was going to accomplish it. And it takes discipline. A discipline that I'm glad that I got from the military. Word problems scare you. Well, here's what helped me. Doing word problems in physics, in my physics classes, that's what helped me because I was sucking. I was sucking real bad as far as word problems goes. When I first took chemistry, I'm like, this shit's tough. That's all chemistry is word problems. That's the entire fucking course. Nothing but word problems. But then I learned techniques on how to solve them while I was in physics. And so now, the first physics course, kind of, that was an eye-opener. It's like, I can do this. The second time, I knew what to expect. So I was like, all right, all my variables. Write down all my variables first. First and foremost, where are my formulas? Write down all my formulas. All right, I need to find K. Okay, if K is a constant, this is for chemistry, but K is a constant. So I have 4 variables here in my formula. 3 are given in my in my example, in my question. Okay, I need to perform a little bit of algebra on the formula, and then just plug in the results, and then put it in my fucking calculator. And that's it. That's literally it. That is it. That's how you solve word problems in a nutshell. And it sounds easy, but it takes a while. It takes certain conversions. You need to do a conversion using one formula, get that answer, and then take the fucking moles from that, and then take the molarity from that. Oh, since you have the molarity for that, now you can use this for this formula, and it works the same way in physics. Same shit. Same exact shit. Different numbers, different formulas, but same shit. So having that experience and being done finally with physics has helped me, because now I'm doing chemistry too. More word problems. Well, guess what? Then I take organic chemistry. Cool. Well, then I take organic chemistry too. And then I take biochemistry. And I get biochemistry too. So I'm gonna be doing chemistry for a while. So it's imperative that I understand how this works. But then I said, you know what? Is it enough? Is it really enough that I okay, G-Man just went live. Evolutionists bring it tonight. 9:30. What was that? I don't know. 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm probably not going to be attending that. Sorry, but it's imperative that I say, okay, you know, it's going to be it'll be helpful for others if I try and use some of these examples to kind of help people like demystify word problems because they're not really that bad. They just try to fuck with people. Like word problems try to fuck with you. And if you thought that, you were right, and they're not as bad as people think. What have you? Let's see. What you have to take biochem for your biology degree? Yeah. Well, my degree, Lamed, is a specialized degree in biology. It's not a generic biology degree. It's a biology degree with a specialization in cellular/molecular biology. So in order to take like cancer biology and cell biology, a lot of the prerequisites are like biochem. So you end up taking biochem anyway in order to take those courses for that degree. So like I'm not going to be able to take cell biology until like this time next year, and it looks like I'm going to have to take. I'm going to probably end up taking uh, probably calc over the summer. I really don't want to, but I'm probably going to enlist the help of somebody in this chat to help me go ahead and knock out calculus over the summer. But I told myself I would never take another math class over the summer because that's so stressful. That I was working 4 to 6 hours a day on shit. Just, oh my fucking God. They should just rename cell biology into G protein signaling. I heard that's all it is. It's just yeah. But I mean, like Sam wrote his master's thesis on G coupled protein. So, you know, yeah. Andrea, not having a wife and kid allows me more. Yeah, there you go. You have all that time. There you go. Right now, I've geared my schedule so that my son goes to school before me, but I get out of class before him so that my wife can do whatever she wants. But that gives me time to do whatever I need to. Yeah, Lou, my last my calc/trigonometry class did not transfer because I didn't get a high enough grade in it, so I had to take it over. But my previous college, they integrated trigonometry and calc once, so you learn both. Yeah. So that's going to be interesting. Folks say. My lady friend's an entomologist. Ooh, that's nice. She works with bugs. She hated biochem. I don't know anybody who likes biochem. That's like I've not met a person who goes, oh yeah, except for one person in the chat who said, yeah, biochem was so easy. Oh my goodness, I just walked in there. They gave me the grade. I walked out. Yeah, you know. You can do cell biology without having taken biochem. The knowledge is simply required. I am pretty sure that is an accurate statement. But as far as the prerequisites for this college, for some reason they're like, oh no. But I need to double check that, Nethar, because it might. I think it said one or the other. I think it's either biochem you could take or shit. What was that class? It was something else that you had to take. Oh, molecular genetics. That was the other one. Molecular genetics. No, I didn't see a proof. I haven't been on G Plus lately. It was molecular genetics seems to be like the linchpin in allowing you to take like specialized classes in biology for this institution, which I guess it makes sense, because you will need to understand quite a bit about that in order to know what's going on in the fucking cell, which I was like, whatever. But I've already taken a genetics course, but I'm not sure if it transferred. So I may end up taking genetics over again. I know I have to take microbiology over again, which I was like, fuck me. Because the syllabus, the syllabi are different, so you take it over. I'm like, fuck yourself. Like but I don't mind because I enjoy microbiology. I enjoyed the shit out of it, so I'll take it again. But I don't want to. I don't want to do like when I say word problems, folks. I'm not talking about genetics word problems. Not at all. Look at me when I say this. Look, doing word problems for physics, for chemistry, for damn near any other course, that's nothing. You can take time to learn that. All right? When you're doing genetics word problems, they hate you. The problem hates everything about you. It hates your family. It wants you to die. I don't ever if I could go the rest of my life without ever doing a genetics word problem, I'd be happy. Ever again. I would love to not have to do that ever again. So that's just me though. But I enjoyed the class. I enjoyed the labs. So I want you going to win like Houston, Cincinnati. I don't know. I'm not even sure if I'm gonna watch it. To tell you the truth, I'll probably hear about it tomorrow because Dr. Yee, my political science instructor, he's a big fan. So I think he's gonna talk about it tomorrow. So I'll just catch it from him. Yeah, man. I have not sat down and watched sports since like the last Super Bowl. Honestly. Like that's the last time I sat down and I actually watched sports. It's been a minute, so I couldn't even tell you. I recently heard Marshawn Lynch is playing for the Raiders now. I was like, when did that happen? When Marshawn Lynch come back? Y'all got any more of them? Y'all got any more of them running backs? Mr. Vaughn, yeah, dude, I'm really not into basketball, though. Like, to tell you the truth, I will watch football, but I'm really not into basketball, as odd as that is. It's not that I don't like, I'll play basketball, if MP's leg was feeling better, I would have balled him up, not a big deal. But, no, I would rather play it. Talking sports, yeah, I don't, like I said, I've not sat down and watched sports in quite some time, since the last Super Bowl. That's the last time I sat down. I've been busy doing things. You know what I've been busy doing? Let me show you. G-Man's not that big. Dunking on him is that's not an accomplishment. I'm telling you right now, he's a little dude. He's a little dude. He's a little fun dude, though. Everybody can't play sports and be smart at the same time like me. Oh, there's G-Man. There's G-Man. Everybody can't be that. Yes, I will, person who just sent me that message. Let me show you. G-Man says he's 5'11". Man, I told somebody he was like 5'7". I talk a lot of shit about G-Man. I gotta get my son. I talk a lot of shit about G-Man. I did not mean to fuck up his height like that, but from you have to understand, if you come up to around like underneath my shoulder, I think everybody underneath my shoulder is 5'7". Like it doesn't matter how tall you are. I have no idea how tall my wife is. I have no idea. If you are my height, I know you're 6 feet at least. So, But my bad. I did. I'll mess with G-Man about the stupid stuff that he says, but I didn't mean to mess with him about his height. I do apologize for that. So I need to go pee real quick. I'll be right back. All right. Where is... Okay. Let me unlock this. I'm let me just walk out here. Fuck it, whatever. I haven't got any shoes on. Wild Ekans appears. Yeah, no, a wild Ekans did appear right before reconnecting. Okay, so if you're walking over here and it's after like 9 o'clock, you know something's up. Like, come on now. You know what the deal is. You know where we live, and everybody who lives here have to sign this long ass leasing agreement, and a part of that leasing agreement is that you acknowledge that there are wild animals here, and we live near a nature preserve. So I don't know what this lady's nephew was doing out in the middle of the property in the most wooded area, but you know what, you're gonna learn today. So you don't play with them animals. Them animals respect. Stay out their yard. We have a good agreement. It's like I have an agreement with the alligators. I'll stay in the water, I'll stay out the water. It's a pretty good agreement, I think. I think it's a pretty good accord we have going on. If I put my pole in the water and he wants my bait, guess what? I went in his house. He gets the bait. I can't have that bait no more. It's not mine. So, I mean, that's just how I look at it. That's just me, though. Like a virgin. Let's see. He's not arrogant, he's just confident. I mean, there's a fine line between arrogance and confidence. I don't know. I mean, if somebody wants to say I'm arrogant, that's fine. I'll just accept it. I mean, but I think there's a difference. I think my arrogance is deserved. Well, in certain areas. I'll tell you right now, I'm probably not going to ball up anybody. I've not played basketball in literally years. I think the last time I played basketball was, oh man, when was it? It was, I was with my unit, and we were doing PT, and instead of just, running 50,000 miles and doing 50,000 push-ups and sit-ups, we decided to do something fun, and we played basketball. So, yeah. So that's but that was years ago. But I'm not, like, basketball's not really my sport, because I didn't play that in high school. I didn't play basketball. I played football and I wrestled. That's what I did in high school. In the earlier, Sarah poo-pooed philosophy. What are your thoughts? Okay. Kylo Ken. Oh, I see what Kenny did there. That's funny. 10 points for Kenny. If you don't get the reference, get the fuck out. So I used to be one of those people who just kind of, it's like, who needs philosophy, there's just a bunch of people sitting around with a thumbs up their ass, thinking real hard about stuff. But until I understood that philosophy is a part of everything. Literally everything you do, every thought that you have, every breath you take, every step, never mind, I'm not going to go there, but everything that we do goes back to philosophy. And it really took some time in order for me to understand that. If I want to conduct research, I have to use a scientific method. Well, what is a method? That's a philosophy. I have to use methodological naturalism in my pursuit of science. I can't get away from it. So no matter how much people say that they don't like philosophy, it's an integral part of who we are, what makes us human, our ability, our sentience. Philosophy is integrated. It is an integral part of that. So I understand people's kind of apprehensiveness around it, because some of the concepts are somewhat nebulous, and that's just my opinion. But others, just some basic stuff like the laws of logic, or if you want to call them the principles of logic, some of them are fairly intuitive, and it would help that people understand what they are and what they're about, and understand, there's a school bus, and understand, you know, how not to make fallacious arguments. And not just because, well, I see this big bad person on the internet and I don't want to make a fallacy because they're going to make fun of me. No, because I want to come to conclusions in a reasonable manner, and it's not just something that's subjective. Well, because I came up with it, it's intuitive and it's logical. Well, no. If I come to a conclusion, I want it to be based on, you know, reason, and that, you know, not because I have an emotional, you know, attachment to whatever the topic is, or because you know, everybody and their mother said so, because the preponderance of evidence has led me to this conclusion. You know, that's kind of why hey buddy, come on, what's wrong? Let me open the gate. But so that's kind of, you know, why I enjoy, you know, discussing philosophy, because I think it's an interesting topic. If people don't believe me when I say philosophy is integrated into everything, go to Wikipedia, play the Wikipedia game. Type in whatever topic you want into Wikipedia and click on the first link that links you to another Wikipedia page that you see, and keep doing that. It doesn't matter what you put in, you will always get back to philosophy. Fun fact. I mean, it's a cute little thing to do, but it ends up illustrating the point. You can put in pizza, and, you know, you can go to Italian, and then from Italian you can go to Italy, and to Italy, you know, you can go to whatever, and you'll eventually, you know, well, I'll just call you ugly. Hey, your aunt is free to have her opinion, but you know what? So the issue is that you can't get away from philosophy, no matter how much people try and fight. Everything is philosophical to some degree, especially politics, especially these discussions that we have on the internet. You know, most of them are the philosophical nature. When we discuss science, even if they're a science-heavy topic, guess what's built into science? Science is a philosophy. You're studying the natural world. Well, that study requires certain techniques. Guess what those techniques are based off of? So, you know, you can either appreciate philosophy, or you can be negatively impacted by being ignorant of it. Those are the choices. Put them out in the garage. It's kind of what it boils down to. Science used to be called natural philosophy. There you go. There you go. So, and that further illustrates the point that I was making. Let me see book back. Let's see. It doesn't mean that someone who is fairly well versed in philosophy can then talk about other fields. No, and thank you, Nethar, for saying that. No, that doesn't mean, you know, because when someone gets a PhD, like this, I guess there's maybe 2 people in the chat that actually have them. It's philosophy, doctor of philosophy. That's what PhD means. That doesn't mean that someone who has a PhD in philosophy can give you a lecture on quantum physics, even though they have a PhD in it. No, that's not how that works. That's not how any of this works. Matt Bell was actually saying that at one point. He stopped saying that, luckily, thankfully. But I mean, you can discuss stuff if you are, if your field now is the philosophy of physics or something. Like, so there are people who have, and I just recently learned, there's people who are who have degrees in the philosophy of biology. Who knew? That's a bit different. You have to understand, you have to have an intimate knowledge of philosophy and biology. So, but even with that, there's still a limitation because it's such a specialized field. Yeah, worse are the guys who think they can lecture science majors because they've taken intro philosophy. Well, It depends what they're arguing, Nether. It really depends what they're trying to argue. If they want to try and go into biological evolution because they've taken one. I mean, it's no different than the people who've taken one sociology course and then they think that they're going to change everyone's mindset because they understand certain general phenomena. Now everyone else are just ignorant plebs, and they're now the educated elite. Okay. Hey, mommy's trying to sleep. Come here. Okay, you can't hug her. She's asleep. Here, what is this? What's this a picture of?
I don't know.
You don't know? You just drew it? Okay. Alright. Throw this shit away. Keep, return, something. I don't know what this shit is. Wait for your mommy to wake up. I don't know what any of this stuff is. I just pay the bills here. Little logic can be, little knowledge can be a dangerous thing. Yeah, it's true. Little logic can, or she was little knowledge can make people draw some really interesting conclusions, as we've seen here. Really interesting conclusions. I don't know how. Said Rodriguez in my field 0 because they're not taking it seriously, but because there's no need, it's not needed. What? Just so I want to learn a lot of things. You can. I would say having a good foundation in philosophy can help you become a lucid thinker. If there was one, if you wanted to quote me at some point about what I think overall the purpose of philosophy is in our modern day, like just for the average person, if nothing more than to make you a lucid thinker. There's nothing worse than somebody. Well, on the opposite end of that, you have people who use philosophy as a bludgeon because everyone else doesn't understand some particular terms. Like because there's a point where I mixed up sound. Well, no. I conflated soundness and validity, and you can have something that's sound but not valid, and all that shit, but there's actually a jargon associated with philosophy, and so I use those terms synonymously, which in philosophy they're not synonymous. Again, that's a really good example, really good example, and I'm not going to tell you the difference between soundness and validity because I fucking forgot, but somebody in the chat knows. So here is something that's interesting. Here is something that's really interesting. All right. When I fucked up soundness and validity, as far as an argument being sound and valid, should I have gotten upset with the people that I was talking to, or should I have gone, oh, well, I use those terms synonymously, but in this context, they differ. Thank you for informing me about that. I will restate my position then using the proper terminology. Tell me what I should have done. Somebody tell me. I want to know. Because I keep this goes back to what I was saying before about the mention of intellectual dishonesty and tricky words and all this other kind of shit. Because mind you, I'm not a philosopher. I'm not a philosophy major. I have no formal education in philosophy. Almost did. I was taking one class. So should I have acknowledged that I had the misunderstanding? Or should I have gotten mad at everyone else because I didn't understand? Yeah, it's still going on, Sam. People are finding this interesting for some reason. I just kept it on. But I find it interesting because if I was arrogant, I would have just gotten mad at everybody and pretended I know shit that I didn't know. That would be, a sign of somebody who does not have humility. Blow the beer. Yeah, I need to get a haircut, and this is getting trimmed, so it's going away. It's definitely it's going to be trimmed down, trimmed way down, to make it more slim because it's just going wild. It's out here like a damn fan. But it seems to me that I don't see a lot of humility in the fact that when we're having these conversations and people don't, and we're talking about some really esoteric stuff, people don't have a respect for how the language changes the meaning of words when it goes into that field. And so they'll get upset with everybody else who does know because it's our fault that the language changed. I see. Let's watch this one. Yet to take off. Let's see what Drake's doing. You don't need philosophy when you're rough and ready realism. Well, I mean, you can be, a good old boy from the South with your shit kickers on and, raring to go every day. But the second you crack your mouth open about an opinion, especially a political one, philosophy might help you. Because there's a lot, and even in my federal government class, there's a good old boy. Every time he opens his mouth, you don't know what the fuck he's talking about, without fucking fail. And I say that I'm being facetious, but there's an argument. There's an argument in the. I'll give you a really good example. Really good example. In the federal government class today, I just call him the good old boy because I don't know his name. He was making the argument. He and I are both veterans, by the way, and a couple of other veterans. Actually, the majority of the veterans in the class were making the case that they agree with Trump banning transgenders from joining the military because of the burden of cost. And so their argument was that, well, since you have already, unburdened veterans who can't get their proper compensation, why should we now focus on transgenders? That adds more to the fire. Well, to me, that seems like a fallacy of relative privation. Like we can't tackle both. Like, why do we need to place this on tiers? Like, what is the DOD incapable of multitasking? Like, what the fuck happened since the time I left? And of course, that's not true. But it seems to me that, and Dr. Hostin himself kind of acknowledged it, because they themselves are going through stuff and they're fighting the VA for whatever, they feel that it takes away from their struggle. So that's where that argument comes from. And I agree with him. I think they've made it more personal than it needs to be. And I think it was a terrible fucking argument. And so I pointed that out to folks, that I think that it was fallacious, and here's why. Here's why the argument really doesn't work for me. It really doesn't work. So, me. If you've ever dealt with fruit flies, oh my fucking god. But yeah, I find it interesting because I see different types of people in real life and on Google Plus. Those who appreciate education and those who don't. And of course, that's quite a false dichotomy. But it's for the sake of what I'm saying, it works. And take what I'm saying with a grain of fucking salt. Folks who appreciate education have indicators. Yes, Sam. That I'm not too surprised about, Sam. Folks who genuinely appreciate education distinguish themselves by certain behaviors. One is being able to take correction.
Daddy?
And when I say take correction, I don't mean like a month from now. Yes, buddy?
Have food pimples?
Yes. Wash your hands. Being able to take correction. And I don't mean a week from now. I mean a month from now. I mean talking about it here and there and going, you know what? I may be wrong. I may be right. Let's talk about it. And not being so apprehensive that, one, you brush aside all criticism. Two, you think that everyone now is just fabricating stuff just to fuck with you. A person who is educated and who is seeking education and who appreciates education does not behave that way. No one that I've known that has recordable accolades in the field of academia, any subject, any topic, doesn't matter. You see them with a certain level of humility, and they exude a certain level of confidence, but not to the point that it becomes a detriment. They're always interested in learning, and they're more interested in having someone teach them. So every correction or possible correction that can be made is an opportunity for them to learn. As some of you have heard me mention in the past, a guy by the name of Olson. He and I took microbiology together, and he is someone that I can say is educated, and someone that I would look to, and I did look to as a rival, because of his knowledge, because of his poise, and by the way, he's just, simply carried himself. He had the hallmarks of someone who is educated. And even when I challenged him on stuff, he kind of went, "Oh, you sure about that?" And we began to talk about it. And then within a matter of minutes, non-hostile conversation, I said, "Okay, I see what you mean." And he opened the door for himself to be wrong. Didn't brag or boast about it. It wasn't something that was a competition. It's just how it is. So, I think from similar experiences, I may be able to properly quantify and recognize people that have those hallmarks. And that's just one example. But there are others. There are definitely others. There are other indicators of people who, at some point in time, has gone, you know what, maybe I just don't understand something as well as I think I do. Just maybe. And if I think I'm trying to teach somebody something, have I really grasped their level of education on this topic? Do I really think that I have quantified their knowledge in this field? How would I do that? How can I make sure? Are they a man or woman of letters? Or do they simply speak on topics just off the cuff with great charisma and poise and articulation such that it convinces everyone else? Or maybe, just maybe, they can reference a variety of things, and not just a variety of things, they can reference quite a bit and speak on the conceptual topics such that it'd be impossible for them to simply be faking it. No way somebody can just simply Google all the information that's being put out there and then give examples for it if they really don't understand it. Have these people actually taught folks before? How do you explain to those who have degrees but seem to lack intelligence? Those who have degrees but seem... Well, here's the thing. You can... I only recently got a degree. And with that degree, it's a general studies degree that I got by accident. I wasn't trying to get that. Like I said, it goes back to having hallmarks of education, or someone who's educated. The same hallmarks of someone who's educated kind of also correlate with people who are intelligent, or who we would consider intelligent, I guess you could say. Because someone who is truly intelligent may not be the most humble of people. They may not be. Humility is not really that great of an indicator. But you could make the argument that rather than IQ, their EQ would be low because they lack that humility. I've heard that argument. It makes sense. It does make sense. But there is a strong, I guess, this correlation, you can see an inverse with that from people who are, who are unintelligent, people who are unlearned, that they can't take criticism. They spurn formal education. They think that they understand a topic, but really couldn't articulate it in a way so that others within the field could acknowledge their knowledge. Simple and plain. Are you washing your pants in the dishwasher? No, I barely use this dishwasher. I barely fucking touch it. We just wash everything by hand. That's it's better for us that way because this thing's a piece of shit. So that's kind of what I've seen. Because people, and there are people who acknowledge, my, I guess, above average intelligence, because they walk up to me and they tell me. I don't need them to at any point in time, and I kind of just brush it aside because it's kind of like I really don't need you to tell me that. Like, I don't, I would prefer somebody challenge me. I prefer that. I prefer my ideas challenged. I do hang out with some weirdos. Dragna such a G-man saying macroevolution is wrong. Well, I understand why he says that. Don't get me wrong, I understand exactly why he says that. I have no illusions as to why. And if you... There's a way to handle certain objections like that. Let's see how I can phrase this. They also claim that someone is false without showing how. Yeah, I don't like the little pity pat bullshit with that. I just brush that aside. But the issue is that if you have an objection to something, then who's Kenny say I challenge you to a man boob? I'll take you up on that, Kenny. If you have an objection to something, it can be a valid one or an invalid one. Well, Drag, what do you mean by that? Valid? Well, is that subjective? Like, you just, what criteria do you build for that? Do you first understand the topic? Because if you're an atheist, and I'm gonna pick on atheists for a while, and you go and watch fucking Zeitgeist, and then you think you've defeated religion, that's some bad news for you. That's some real bad news for you. That shit is stupid. And not because I say it's stupid, because there's factual errors that make it stupid. They're just simple, just grand factual errors. All up in that bitch. So, if your objection to religion is based off that movie, you probably don't have a good basis. Now, if you go, you know what? I'm rejecting this particular supernatural phenomenon from Catholicism, transubstantiation, because there's simply no evidence to support this idea that this and this happens with this chip and this wine, whatever. Okay, that's an objection. You understand what first this thing is, this transubstantiation, what this phenomena is. You understand its mechanics, and then your decision, your conclusion is simply based on a lack of evidence. That's understandable, right? But you then can't go, well, I don't understand this particular aspect of this particular phenomenon within biological science because it takes too long and I can't conceptualize it in my head. Therefore, it's false. No, bro. You can't also go, my theology dictates that I come to certain conclusions, and I cannot reconcile certain aspects of this field with my theology because my conclusion has to remain the same, no matter what. No matter what's presented, no matter anything. Guess what? That's a terrible reason. because your conclusion should be based on evidence. So, no, that's for the fucking. Remember, I told you I came back and I had an infestation in my microwave. Fruit fly was in here. I had Chinese in that microwave. Guess what got out when I opened the microwave? You guessed it, Drosophila melanogaster. Guess what I've been fighting the last few weeks? There you go. It only takes one, seems like. Still can't get rid of one. So, yeah, that's going to be staying there for a while. Not near any food, but that's going to be staying there for a while. That thing you heard me heating up in the microwave was wine vinegar, because they like the smell of fermentation. But it's laced with a little bit of this, so as soon as they take a sip, it's poison to them. Actual poison. So, yeah. So I've been messing with that. So just imagine if you're fearing to put stuff in your microwave because there was a colony of fruit flies in there. Yeah, evidently they love Chinese food. They love Chinese food. I saw every stage of melanogaster in that microwave when I came back from Harvey. Every stage was in there. You get to see metamorphosis up live. Oh, and guess what? You're hungry? Oh man, that's cool too. So yeah, that was fun. But I digress. But no, this is a rent. This is a apartment. So no, I can't throw this shit away. Trust me, I would have thrown the fucker away. But yeah, the objections that I hear come from G-Man, some of these other folks. For one thing, I don't feel that G-Man and some of the other guys really understand biological evolution. Like they simply agree with, well, small changes over time. Okay, cool, microevolution, gotcha. Easy. Well, how can this, and the argument boils down to this. I can't personally fathom an organism changing such that it looks completely different from its predecessor. If you boil down the arguments, that's what it comes down to. Well, your personal credulity has no play in this. That it doesn't matter what you personally want to believe. Yeah, it'd be easier for me to just say that everything was like it was and it never changes. Sure, that's easy to conceptualize in my head, but life is a little bit more complicated than what I want to believe. Sorry. So guess what? Well, what's the evidence for this? What would I expect to find? Well, you want to know a really good example of macroevolution that we can look for using genetics? Atavisms. You don't know what an atavism is? Look it up. Just saying. Atavisms are a really good example of what's been demonstrated over and over and over again. Jack Horner, the guy who instructed, what's his face, who made Jurassic Park? What's his name? Somebody give me his name. Fuck. Michael Crichton. Jack Horner is working on a project now where he is working with some of the atavisms within chickens, because we know... No! The guy who fucking wrote it. Midnight. The guy I was thinking of, Michael Crichton, who wrote it. Didn't Michael Crichton write... Sam. Michael Crichton. That's the guy I was thinking about. Jack Horner, by the way, who is a mentor of Mary Schweitzer, he's the one who's now working on a project to restore some of the atavisms within chickens. Since we know that there's a link between, their predecessors, which were dinos, and chickens, guess what they have? Teeth. You ever seen a chicken with teeth? Just saying. Why would the chicken have genes, or pseudogenes rather, for teeth? Why would they have that? Interesting. Dolphins' genes for legs, yeah. So do whales. Why would they have those? Interesting. He just posted. It's going by too fast. Dragonaut. The word atavism is derived from the Latin atavis, and atavis is a great, 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 great grandfather, or more generally an ancestor. And atavism, in this case, is a trait, leftover trait. It's not like a vestigial organ. Like the atavism in chickens has to be induced. I scrolled up. I just read it. The common designer. Interesting. There's more. An ancestor. Yeah, that's all I see. Yeah, but what I'm getting at is it's if the predecessor. I can't give anybody mods while I'm on my phone. I'll just remind me to do it later. The predecessors to chickens would have had to have teeth in order for it to appear in chickens. Didn't just magically appear. Had to be there, right? But of course, genes do appear from non-coding regions. We know that. There's actually a paper recently, and I had to find it, where functional genes, and that's protein coding genes, can arise from non-coding regions through mutation. Can't happen. We know it's happened. So, some snakes are born with fucked up legs. Yeah. I think if you look on the skeleton of certain snakes, you can still see where the bones were for the legs. You know. So, that's going to be an interesting topic, because G-Man really doesn't go over genetics. And I really don't hear too many people talk, well, other than C. Brown, which I still don't know what the fuck C. Brown's saying. Like, somebody translate. I have no idea. Like, I ate eukaryotes. Oh God. Thank you, RC. But I hear some of these guys trying to talk about genetics, and I'm not convinced they even know what genetics is. And to give you a perfect example of that, next time you see Tommy Hall, ask him what epigenetics is. I mean, just a rough definition. I'll tell you right now, fuck, I can't even tell you what epigenetics is. But guess what? We only know so much about fucking epigenetics. Yeah, epigenetics. Like, it's the problem I have when Tommy does that, and Tommy invokes epigenetics as like a cure-all for whatever argument he needs to make. Well, we know because of epigenetics. Or that can happen because of epigenetics. Like, Tommy, what the fuck does epigenetics mean? Yeah, he uses it as a buzzword. It's like, well, before, buddy, good old Mr. Hall, you were advocating for fucking, like, Lamarckism. And I'm like, Lamarckism been fucking debunked for how long? Really? But now his new thing is epigenetics. And I'm like, man, Tommy been doing some reading. I don't know who you are, Lil Perk, so I mean, are you putting out some good content for me to subscribe to? Because I only want the best and the brightest notifications on my feed. My phone's going to vibrate. I want it to vibrate with some knowledge. That's why I'm subscribed to G-Man. Epigenetics is a term used for a number of regulatory process that it went away. If you want to know what epigenetics is, Nethar just posted the definition. So, go get it. Right now, I was driving home from an Asian market. Something about bath salts, so fucking incoherent. Okay. You live in a fucked up area, Tyler Durden. Just want to throw that out there. So, difference between epigenetics and Lamarckism, they sound similar, but no, I'm not saying that there's a similarity between them. I'm saying that Tommy he switches his kind of buzzwords and his concepts over time. Like, and I'll give Tommy credit for that. Tommy actually does learn a bit as time goes on. It's not accurate, but he learns stuff, and I can say that because there was a time where he was even arguing with Steve, and what Tommy was proposing was Lamarckism. Hope there are no experiments to give dolphin layers. The last thing we need is monsters running around wild. Yeah, that'd be scary because they hump people. But Tommy was advocating for Lamarckism a few years ago. Like, if you go back and listen to some of his old arguments, he was dead up trying to tell people that Lamarckism was a thing. then it changed to, you know, Mary Schweitzer and his obsession with her, and then Mary Schweitzer came around like, no, what the fuck are these people saying? No. Yeah, no, yeah. The only thing that I was saying is that I'm not saying that epigenetics has anything to do with Lamarckism. I'm saying that Tommy's arguments has shifted because he needs a catalyst to make the stuff in his head work, and so he will latch on to certain concepts. And then I don't think that he knew what Lamarckism was. He just started describing it because he needed a mechanism for what he thought was the case, because you know he's not a fan of evolution. So he latched on to what inadvertently ended up being Lamarckism. And so people like, Tommy, it sounds like you're advocating for that. Well, no. And then later on, I was like, well, yeah, maybe it is Lamarckism. Maybe we need to explore it. And so I was like, okay, okay, Tommy. But yeah, basically Tommy learned a new word. So epigenetics got brought up at some point, and so Tommy's now latched on to epigenetics because, you know, not a whole lot is known about epigenetics. We're still trying to figure out, especially like when it. But what Tommy does is he makes the mistake of thinking that he can evoke something that's not that well known as a mechanism, because he knows that, you know, it exists, it's a thing, but just to what extent, so he can just kind of have free reign with it. But he fucks up when he starts going into, well, yeah, the epigenetic markers, whatever he fucking calls them, they get, you know, passed along to the offspring. It's like, Tommy, the heritability of epigenetic changes is not something that we know a whole lot about. Like that's not like a solid fucking science. So let's stop that right there. So I'm not sure who that bend over person is. Drag, you're probably getting all the wee baby trolls today. Yeah, I need some better quality trolls. Came for the boobs. I bet you did, Deidre. Deidre, you need to repent and stop thinking about all those women in their special places. You need to repent. And I mean, do it with your heart. Repent. Well, I would not have married Mrs. Dragnots if she was not. If you're not subscribed to Mrs. Dragnot, she's on my, if you go to my YouTube page, and there's like only 2 or 3 suggested or, you know, recommended channels. The one that says music for you is actually my wife. And that's been sitting there forever. No one's actually noticed it. But my wife has been on there forever. Let's see. I need to find a setting so that the chat stops disappearing like that. That's getting annoying because I start reading something and I don't know what it is. Hey, go tell me if mommy's up. Hey.
Yeah.
Yes, Daddy. Yes, Daddy.
Yes.
You want to go to bed?
No.
Then get up and go do what I said. Sorry, I had the daddy there for a second. Are we stalkers? Somebody said something about a cookout. I'm not doing any cookouts. I'm not doing any cookouts. This place is too small for a cookout. In 2 years, I plan on graduating from this little college up here and moving on to bigger and better things. And by bigger and better things, I mean actually find a house closer in town, closer to UT and UH downtown, because UH downtown has my graduate programs. So once I get my house, use my GI Bill and all that shit, well, my VA home loan shit, that's when we can have some barbecues. That's when fun's gonna happen, right there. That's gonna be fun. As of now, meager little place. Oh man, these trolls are very good. Dre, if you were gay, would you marry Steve? Probably not. I don't need someone just as hairy as me. Drag, do you only use colored plastic plates and glasses? I mean, I got whatever was available. I didn't really make a choice. Well, let me see. Mrs. Dragnot got whatever was available. Let me explain that one real quick. I provide the money. She just spends it. Shit, that's how that works. Just so we're tracking on that. I'm like, you know what? You got a paper plate every day. Fuck this. Go to school, hard day of walking around, carry a book bag and listening to lectures, and come home to this. Your wife she already has an NES Classic. She did her she did a video on it the other day. Budget issues got it. We changed to a white shirt first. Yeah. Wet t-shirt contest. Sarah has to go first. Oh wait, she already did. If you missed it, you missed it. Too bad. I got to meet up with some of my classmates this weekend because we had a group project, and I think one of them is an adult like me, kid, boss, you know, job, all that shit. Well, except the boss and the job, my broke ass. But having some scheduling issues, so I said, all right. Well, I got one older guy. He's a little bit older. Guy named nice guy Vince. I try to make things convenient for him, but then I got a young kid named Rohan, and I'm like, look, between the both of y'all, I'm going to do the bulk of the work, but y'all going to put the finishing touches on it and fucking finish it, because I'm not about this bullshit with group projects where people just forget about it, and that's my ass. No. I will turn in half a fucking sheet, and your name won't be on it. The good thing about Google Docs is that it shows you who's been working on what. You use nipple clamps on yourself. I'm not a big nipple guy. So no, I can't. I don't do anything with my gadgets over here. So not in that sort of thing. I'm Ryan's. Oh, Sarah, I feel sorry for you if you're Ryan's mother. I feel sorry. I'm not going to click on that because it's going to stop my my broadcast. It's going to leave the screen. Use your nipple GPS in the dark. Evidently so. I'm not sure where G-Man. Like, I want to know. Yeah, you know what? You know what I'm gonna start doing? Since G-Man likes to ask people when they say stuff about the Bible, he wants chapter and verse. I want him to quote whatever science book that he has, because I know Jade has it. I want him to quote the page, the chapter, paragraph, give me a subheading, something, where he gets his shit from. Start treating this like the biology Bible. Hell, it can be any book. I just want to know, because some of this shit's just too outlandish. Too outlandish. Too outlandish. I don't know why people are just not getting the notifications. I can tell you right now, folks, if you want an instant notification to my Hangouts, have YouTube on your phone and have like the push notifications. So no, I'm washing dishes. Close, Sarah, close. Yeah, click the bell if you want notification. Because every time G-Man goes live, my phone goes off, my wife's phone goes off, and we sit back and enjoy the show. There's a few people that I try and text just to be sure. In this case, it's up. Okay. But that's, like I said, there's only a few people who have my personal number, and I might text them when I go live. A few special people. And I mean special people. But, right, it looks like you lost weight. So I haven't talked a little bit about what I've been doing. Fuck Sarah. I'm gonna have my wife looking at me funny later. Like I told you to say that. But, so I told some folks about what I used to do in the military as far as my workout. And I'm kind of doing it now. If you've not, and some people have probably heard of it, it's called intermittent fasting. You probably heard me, Steve, and Ermine talking about it with a few others. But pretty much, well, as of now, I had to change it because my window was, I have a kind of like a shock period for my body. And I'll close my eating window to only like 1 hour every 24 hours. So I would go 23 hours without eating, just drinking water, nothing else. And it's strenuous, but it's to encourage discipline. And then after maybe a week or so, you open it up to something more reasonable. So right now I'm about at like, I think, where did my eating window change to? I think 4 to 8. Yeah, I want to say it's 4 to 8. And so from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m., 4-hour window. So 16 pounds. Since, yeah, Ozzy has some pretty good workouts. It also helps if you go outside and do things, you know, like build campfires and stuff and igloos like Ozzy, because that takes a lot out of you. Definitely good exercise will help out with that. But I need to actually speak to Ermine because she said that she had found some research where pussy eating diet. There you go, Sarah. Ermine was actually saying that there's research that shows that only doing, I think, only fasting for about 13 hours was probably the most effective. And so I think that's what she said. I gotta get with her and see if that's what it was, because she had kind of just casually mentioned it. And so I was like, yeah, I need to. I missed this dish. God damn it! I just left fucking water. So if you know, you can get the most bang for your buck, but your body ends up thinking that you're starving. So the adipose starts going bye-bye fast, but you go back to doing what you were doing, all this is going to come right back. So in the midst of doing IF effectively, and mind you, doing the 1 hour for every 23 hours that's not a long-term solution. That should not be a long-term solution. I don't think anybody can maintain that because it's ridiculous. But certain lifestyle changes are needed. So while you are doing IF, you can go back to a regular eating style, more frequent eating style, but you have to maintain that, which is a lot more feasible. But that's, you know, usually if there's somebody who's just eating all kind of crazy, it just may be because I like comfort food. I'm a big fan of comfort food. Huge fan. That's why I encourage people to send me snacks from all around the world, because I will eat them live. I will fucking take you to an Indian restaurant right now if I had a little extra money, and turn this shit on and try shit, because people seem to want to do that now. But I'm a huge fan of good food, and if I'm feeling a little depressed, hell yeah, get me something good to eat. It makes me feel good. But that creates a cycle. So now, you know, it's like, well, anytime you're feeling down, I'll just get something to eat. I'll just get something to eat. I'll just get something to eat. It's not that healthy. It's not the right way to go about it. Not the right way to go about it. So I know I just washed dishes, but I'm gonna dirty up some dishes. So this is some gumbo that I trying to order my wife for my birthday, and she's still not eating it, so it's mine now because it's just gonna get old. But I tried some of it while my wife was live, and But what was the sad part? Here's the sad part. The restaurant was called Crescent City Connection. Now I figured with a name like that, anybody who's ever been to Louisiana, anybody who knows anything about New Orleans, kind of gets the reference. You can look it up, whatever. I'm like, with a name like that, has to have some good. Now, it was better than the other place that we tried, called Chasing Tails or something like that. Chasing Tails Cajun cuisine. Well, I think it was the okra, but they like overloaded my crawfish etouffee. Because that's what I tried. I immediately go to the crawfish etouffee. And like all this fucking okra in there. And I know some people like it, but they did it up with spice and they fucking did it up with the okra. And I'm just like, fuck me. That's too goddamn much. Of course, my wife tried the gumbo. Wasn't too impressed. So, I might go there just for some crawfish, but I don't know how good their crawfish is, so. I'm gonna just have to have certain places for certain things. This place for po' boys, this place for, crawfish etouffee. I've still not found somebody who knows how to make a roux, because and for those of you who didn't see my 30th birthday, my podcast, whatever you want to fuck on, YouTube video, whatever, I was a little disappointed because when the guy got here, because I did DoorDash because I had to stay here with my son. My wife was out for a job interview. I was okay, cool. I opened that bag, and all I see is this brownish red liquid congealing on the outside of the styrofoam plate. So what the fuck is this? Really? I said, okay, I understand. Stuff gets shifted around a little bit when you're in a car, but there's a lot of it. And I'm holding the styrofoam tray, and I feel shit kind of just jiggling, like not like Jello, but like soup. It feels like I have a styrofoam plate of soup. I opened it up. Guess what was in there? Roux soup. Roux is not supposed to look like soup. It's not supposed to be watery. There's a certain viscosity to it, obviously. This is butter and fucking flour. But it's not supposed to be soupy. Somebody fucked up with that roux. And I mean bad. Now, as soon as I opened it up, I even wrote a whole fucking paragraph. I wrote an essay on Facebook because I was like, my birthday, I just wanted some fucking Cajun food. Can I just, I'm close to home. Y'all are appropriating my culture, making money off of it. At least do it right. Fuck it up. Man, I opened that styrofoam plate. All I see is a little bit crawfish tail swimming in some watery ass roux. I was mad. I was hot. I was like, you got to be fun. Man, it's my 30th birthday. So close to home, and they can't get this shit right. And it was called Crescent City Connection. I'm like, you got the name too? Now, it has a pretty good flavor. I had to add some Tony's to it. Some Tony Chachere's. Had to add just a little bit to it, because I add this to everything. Y'all, this is the more spice version, by the way. Has a little bit less sodium, I think, than the regular one, because I have both. Of course I have both. Why wouldn't I have both? I got this. I found this, actually, in my mother's place. And so when we went to evacuate from Hurricane Harvey, I saw that on my mother's counter. I said, what's that? She said, oh, that's a more spice version. You ain't seen that? I said, no, I ain't seen that. Okay. I'm about to get me one before I leave. So my mother and I talked to one another. And so she ended up going to the store a few days later, and she got me one to bring home. So now I got to check in the store in Kroger's or HEB or whatever the fuck is around here. And see if I can find the more spice version, because I like it better than the regular one. Regular one has a lot of sodium. It's so bad for you. So, my wife was mad. The gumbo I just took out the refrigerator have no rice. You don't eat gumbo without rice. That's a sin. That's a motherfucking sin. You don't know anything about Cajun Creole food. Crawfish etouffee is nothing but roux, crawfish, and rice, long grain rice. Gumbo is a whole bunch of shit, but it's all on rice. People usually don't throw the rice in there, but I didn't even see an option on there to add rice. So I just kind of assumed. I was like, well, I assume y'all from Louisiana. Y'all know where the rice go. Y'all know what it's for. Why didn't you put it in there? Put it and suggest something. I don't know, but my dumb ass was like, "No, man, they'll put it in there. Put it in there." No. So that's 2 down. But the good thing about this place is that there's a whole bunch of other places. There's Abe's, Gator Shack, and Floyd's, and there's an upscale Cajun Creole place called Roux, and it's spelled like it sounds, Rouxpour, and I don't know what that stands for, but whatever. But so that's evidently, if you have a little bit of money, you can go there and eat. And Roux, not RuPaul. So well, you know what? Let me get that fast food check. So on that note, so y'all want to see me eat, I'm going to end this. Right after I end this, I got to call somebody first. Somebody in the chat wants to talk. So get some bread, and then I'm gonna watch that video that G-Man put up. Yeah, you're gonna sit here and see me eat. I don't know if you want to see me eat. If you want to see me eat, you can go in the chat, or not in the chat. You can go in the description and click that donation button, and then look in my area and pick a place, and I'll go fucking eat there, and I'll record it live. How about that? You want me to do that? I'll do that. But I'm not gonna eat live because nobody wants to see that. So on that note, folks, I'll probably make another hangout later. Supposed we hang out tonight on Marty's channel. You may be interested in it. That's all I'll say. Those of you who know what I'm talking about, who already know about it, spread the word. So on that note, folks, see you.